Welcome back, everybody, to another Two Tamers Talk. I know we have a little bit of a different format for you today. Jeff got a chance to sit down with Basil, a good friend of the channel. He got top 10 in the most recent regionals, and the conversation was too good not to dedicate to a Two Tamers Talk. Better than anything I could have contributed. So I am super stoked for you guys to check this one out. A lot of great insight. Basil's a newer player, believe it or not, and he is just killing it at locals, killing it at regionals, and yeah, this is a fun one to watch, so check it out, guys.
Hey guys, welcome back, Digital Gate Studios. I'm very excited to do this, man. How about yourself?
I'm excited too. We've been trying to do this for a while.
We've been trying to do this. So what are we doing, you're asking? We're going to do an interview segment, so I've been very excited about this. I personally like these types of videos, and I like watching them. I like making them, and we had a lot of fun coming up with the script. Thanks, Jesse, for helping me out with that. But we really wanted to get you specifically on the channel. So for those of you who have not seen a lot of Basil's videos, jump in. I think the past couple days we've had 2 or 3 of his deck profile videos drop about his awesome deck profiles. All the stuff you put on the channel is just straight heat. Like we are kind of known for a little bit of a jank channel. I take pride in that because I love card games and building fun combos and using my favorite characters in general. But man, you totally bring it in. So with that being said, without further ado, why don't you introduce yourself? Let us know what got you into Digimon and what brings you here today.
Well, if you don't know, if you haven't watched the Bloom Lord, the Chaos Dramon, or any of the other profiles I've been in, my name is Basil. I've been playing Digimon since only BT10. I got into it because a couple of my buddies were really into the Digimon TCG, and they were like, we know you used to play TCGs. You should play this with us. And I was like, okay, I'm interested. And so I went out. We went to Wayward City Games. They live in Vancouver. I live just down the street. And so I came in, and I was hooked ever since. It's super fun. And there hasn't really been a TCG that I've wanted to play. The first TCG I played was Hearthstone. I was high elo in Hearthstone in 2014. But I stopped playing that when I went to college.
Okay.
And then I never played one in person, and this was the perfect avenue to do that.
You're saying college took away all your fun.
Well, it took away all of the extra money I had to spend on Hearthstone boosters.
Yeah. So, I mean, when you came in, right, what was like the first deck that you grabbed? What was the first thing that you gravitated to? I mean, did you use like your previous knowledge of Digimon to be like, I have to play this character?
No, I wasn't super dedicated, like, oh, I watched it as a child and I want to play War Greymon.
Oh, you had a life unlike me?
Yeah, it wasn't really like that. My friends were like, here's a cheap OTK deck.
Yeah.
It's called D Reaper.
That's perfect, man.
And
it makes so much sense for a new player.
BT10 had just come out. It was just about to be store championships, and I was playing D Reaper, which everyone was like, why are you playing this? And I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I'm a competitive person, and they're like, here's store championships. If you win, you go to nationals.
Yeah.
And I was like, I want to go to nationals. And they're like, okay, it's BT10. BT10 is about to come out.
Yeah.
Here's a deck called Shoutmon.
Oh.
And I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
So I don't know if anyone can imagine playing D Reaper versus Shoutmon with 4 Sunrise Busters and 4 Cross 4s.
Oh my gosh. That's how I loved it too. I mean, it was amazing.
That is really hard.
Yeah. Well, I mean, do you agree with the restriction of that Cross 4?
Yeah.
You do? Yeah, I mean, I do too. I just had to throw it in there. Had to get that controversy on the channel.
That card.
Got to get those views.
And you know what's crazy about Cross 4?
Yeah.
Is they printed it again.
Yeah,
they just
you're
printed
right.
Cross 3. And it's like, wow.
Cross 3, I mean, it's obviously not as good and it's strong, but could you imagine that deck with Cross 4s and Cross 3s?
And 4 Cross 3s.
So we're going to put a picture on the screen here of what the deck that you did play at this last event that you went to. My question for you is, do you think if Cross 4 hadn't been restricted, would you play the Merva pack that you play?
So this was at the Top Cut regional event. I ended up getting 9th.
9th, congratulations!
Thank you. That's that's sending me to Nats. So I'll see you all there, all of our diehard fans.
Do you have any idea what you're gonna play in Nats now?
I'm gonna play Cross Art.
Play Cross. I love it.
I don't know. It's
okay,
gonna be BT 14 maybe.
Yeah.
So I don't even know what that is.
Maybe you'll fall in love with the little Giza
but,
things.
The reason I was playing this deck is because this was before the Beelzemon restrictions.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, in my mind, what this tournament was going to come down to is who wins in a race.
Got it.
And my favorite deck is Bloomlord. One of my favorite decks is Machine Dramon. They get ran over by Beelzemon. So my idea was to do a deck that's as aggressive as Beelzemon. And so the reason I went with Crossheart is because they're going to swing with their Impmons. They're going to swing with everything looking for on deletions. They're eventually going to hit a Tamer, and I'm going to go off with Blinding Rays and Gravity
That makes a lot of
Crushes.
sense.
So I think Crossheart is a top 2, top 3 deck in the format.
Yeah.
Still, even after EX4, I think Bandai, I know you're listening.
Yeah, I did it. Yes.
And Jeff,
yes.
and I know you disagree with me.
Okay.
Blinding Ray and Gravity Crush to 1.
You think they should be restricted?
Both of them. They're the
You're
best.
going out of order of my script, man. I was going to be like the last question.
I'm sorry. I have to say it.
Okay. Well, I like that.
Well, the reason is, what's the best part of this card game?
I mean, the resource system.
The memory system.
Yeah.
Blinding Ray and Gravity Crush say ignore the best part of the game.
You're right.
And so it's sort of like you set up, you draw a bunch, Tamer, mech, and then they choke you to 1. And they have 4 security. And then I go to 9, and I Merv them on, double cross 3,
that makes you
cross
right.
4, cross 5, and just do
go
6
crazy.
security checks with 1 memory. It's really uninteractive.
Well,
I don't think it's very
The only
cool.
reason why I disagree with you on the restriction, I mean, I agree with 100%, first of all, with what you're saying.
Mhm.
That is how that deck wins. That makes total sense why it's in the deck. I don't like the idea of restricting that card for 1 deck. Because, like, Blinding Ray and Gravity Crush, yes, Gravity Crush is killer in Red Hybrid, 100%. But both of those together can only really do that in that deck.
And that's where you're wrong, Jeff.
Okay.
You have not been paying attention to BT13 results in Japan. There's another deck that I'm interested in when the training cards come out.
Oh.
It's yellow, red Agumons and Greymons, Chimeramon, and promo Black War Greymon. And so you build 2 level 4 stacks with Greymons and Agumons. You Jogress with Chimeramon, and then you promo Black War Grey on top of it, and then you Digiburst swing, and you can do that 2 times with 4 red memory boost, 4 red training. I think is it strength training?
Yeah, I think you're right.
It's one of the trainings.
Yep.
4 Blinding Ray, 4 Gravity Crush.
Wow.
And it's the same idea.
Yeah.
Set up, and then kill them in 1 turn. And I think there's, as long as there's always red decks and yellow decks that are aggressive,
Yep.
these cards are always going to be a problem, in my opinion.
So do you think the answer, they could just restrict Gravity Crush to 1, or do you think specifically it'd be both?
Well, and this is the crazy thing.
Okay.
Is Ryan from the channel.
Yep. If you haven't seen his videos, he had an awesome Shine Gray video.
Gray,
Go check that out. Oh, I love that GG deck.
Yeah, those are super fun. We both think we have the same opinion.
Okay.
Gravity Crush, Blinding Ray, Jack Raid,
Oh.
and what's the blue one? Hammer Spark. All to 1.
Really? I could see that. I
just don't think it's proper for the health of the game to have something to manipulate the memory system with no setup.
Yeah.
Tamers give you memory, you have to play them.
Yep.
Blue boost or memory boosts, you have to play them.
I agree.
Stuff like that. These just come from the hand and give you memory.
And especially with Hammer Spark, like being an early game player, not trying to brag or nothing, but I would hate playing. I remember 1.0 playing Red Omni versus Blue Omni, and you just hope you didn't hit Hammer Spark.
Yeah.
Right? Or you hoped your opponent, for some reason, decided to put Tamers in their deck instead of just maxing out Hammer Spark, because that card was broken back then. Because you hit insecurity, they gain 2 memory.
Right.
It totally disrupts your turn. It could just literally end it. Like if you had lethal and you swing with your big boss first, and you had that little level 3, level 4, whatever ready to go. So I definitely agree with the Hammer Spark restriction, and I don't think that it would be a bad idea to do that. You know, those are definitely good points. I don't disagree, but
It's less about the Mervacross or the promo Black War Greymon is, they call it the Inkaku Special because that's the deck builder. It's more about future proofing, and it's you have to
kind of like how they future proof hidden potential discovered.
Exactly, it's the same way.
Long time ago.
They announced a purple level 6.
Yep.
That it plays stuff from the trash.
Yep.
I forget what it's called. There's going to be a problem with that card and Anubismon and 4 Jack Raids and playing a bunch of stuff with Rush and killing someone in one turn. It's just going to be a problem as long as it exists, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And that's why I think they should get rid of it.
So do you think Digimon has gotten too fast? Do you think it's too OTK at this point? Or what do what direction would you like to see it go?
Yeah, it's and it's coming from my perspective is someone who likes to play I like to play aggressive decks.
Yeah,
because
I do too. I feel that.
I like to win.
Yes.
And the way you win is by killing your opponent, right?
Yeah.
And so I play Bloomlord, and Bloomlord does a bunch of checks. And I play Cross, and it does a lot of checks. But I think it's really nice for a deck like Machine Dramon to have a strong place in the meta.
You want that balance.
A big defensive powerhouse that crushes aggro decks.
Yep.
And it's like if Dorbrick and Grandis and Mervacross and Cross 7 and all of these decks that just and Red Hybrids, all of these decks that just play stuff and then swing with them.
Yeah.
There's no security control should crush these decks.
Yeah.
And they're just too aggressive.
They're very aggressive.
So
because back in the day you had security control to balance that. Right, where like you said, it would just be like, okay, if you play against security control, you either tech an ADP for your red stuff,
right,
or you just know that that's just going to be a tough matchup for you, and there was that fair balance.
Yeah,
but like you said, it's very easy to get around security control these days.
Well, and the thing that's particularly damning about the Mervacross strategy is it doesn't matter if your stuff dies.
Yep,
because it has material save. Or you need it in trash for the Mervacross.
That's definitely something I noticed about BT10 in general.
And so,
whereas before, like when you played, because I was a big Rookie Rush fan.
Yeah.
Back in the early days of 1.0, well, I guess 1.5 is when it really started coming to fruition. About BT2 for those that follow the Japan scene, when Puppetmon got introduced, it was blue green. Back then, just like you were saying, you would swing with your little guys, and then they would be gone forever.
Yeah.
And you'd run out of cards in your hand, and you couldn't sometimes have that finishing move, that follow-up play. But now with all the material save, right, where it just goes underneath the tamer, and you're actually setting yourself up and investing in your resources at the same time of having that aggression. That's why I love Crossheart. That was one of my favorite decks to play, and I did very well in BT10 with that deck. Don't get me wrong. So I agree with what you're saying. But
I think as a final remark on this comment, or on this particular situation, is I think the healthiest a card game can be is when there's a proper RPS of OTK, Rush, and Control.
I agree.
And right now there just isn't, because it's like
it does feel like it's over the top OTK,
and even at something like an Ultimate Cup, you can't really play security control, and so it's sort of like, well, you can't out mid-range like a Dorbrick or a Red Hybrid or a Bloomlord, and you can't. There's like the controlling deck, like Machine. There's too many answers to it.
That makes a lot of sense.
So it's sort of like, well, I guess I'll just be aggressive.
Yeah.
And if you look at the results, that backs me up.
Yeah.
The results are all aggressive. And
Absolutely.
I just wish there was a stronger controlling strategy.
Well, guys, let's move on to the next question. This is a thing that I was excited to ask you about, and one of the reasons why for one of our first interview series that will actually be posted and stayed, not be deleted, because you've been a fan of the channel. We attempted this, audio didn't work, and I was super upset because I put my heart and soul in that video. One reason I specifically wanted you to do this is because I wanted to talk about your journey from a newer player to all of a sudden top dog at locals, 9th place at these major events, playing in tons of events. Hopefully you win all of the Nats. Let's give them our luck for sure. Right? So, what was that journey like? What was the learning curve? You know what I'm saying? Because I could only imagine, especially, coming in, let's say you've never played Digimon, and all of a sudden you come in EX4 that's now out, right? And all of a sudden you're like, Blue Flare, Digicross, reducing Evo, playing all this stuff. What does all this mean, right?
Yeah.
What was that like?
Well, and that it's a funny story because, like I said, my first deck was D Reaper because it's a budget deck.
Yep.
And so, basically, there are two really big, or I should say three really big locals in our area, and it was Wayward City Games, Kronos Games and Gifts on the other side of the river.
Yep.
And then Red Castle Games on my side. Shout outs to all of you.
All great
I know
shops,
you're
by
all
the way.
watching.
We
So-
all great shops.
So I went to Kronos, and Kronos is more of a sweatier local. We like to say they play meta decks.
Yep.
They try to win,
Which
They
is
want-
good to
they want
have
that
that,
prize.
right? Like you want to
So it's
test,
very
you want to
good.
get better at the game.
So I'm at the tournament, and I have D Reaper,
Yep.
and I'm playing against Crossheart, and I think a problem I had with learning with D Reaper is I didn't really get like Digivolve and sort of like the fundamentals of the game.
You don't learn that whole stack-based
Right.
drawing. Yep.
And so I went to this local, and I'm getting killed on turn 2 by Cross 4.
Yeah.
And I went to my buddies, and I was like,
And
"Hey,
you
what-
didn't quit?
Why can right?" I was like, "How come
yeah.
that does that? Like,
Yeah.
well, I don't do. I'm OTK.
Yeah,
is
yeah,
what
yeah,
you
yeah.
told me, and I'm getting destroyed.
Yeah. Because you have to set up a Reaper.
Yeah,
back
exactly.
then,
Right.
back-
Like
yeah,
getting to 7 sources on Mother against 4 cross 4s was
Yeah.
not easy. And so I was like, wow, this is crazy. I should play this deck. But I didn't, I wasn't as invested in the card game as I am now, so I didn't have any kind of cards.
Yeah.
So I go over to Wayward.
Mhm.
And Wayward is a very different scene than Kronos. So
Yeah,
I'm getting
definitely.
You're
I
getting
agree.
hit. You're at Kronos. You're getting hit with the latest decks that are coming out. So
I
it
agree.
was Blue Flare. It was Crossheart. It was Bloom Lord was out in BT10.
Yep.
Other stuff like that. And then you go to Wayward, and you're playing against Machine Dramon and Diaboromon and
Yeah.
BT1 cards.
Yeah.
And it's
you-
like
yeah.
like someone hit me with Trump Sword, and I
you're
was
like, what does that even do?
I don't
What?
even know what this card is.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
this
yeah.
is crazy. And so I sort of got hit from both sides.
Yeah.
Here's the new cards, and here's the old cards. So
Yeah.
that really sped up my learning process.
Yeah.
And then it was just consume as much content as possible. I found out there's a local podcast that runs, and I
think I know
watched
what you're
that.
talk about.
Shout outs to Two Tamers Talk.
Yeah,
that
we
was
love
a big
that.
part of my learning process. Just consuming other YouTube content.
Yeah.
And you all know Card Protagonist.
Yeah, we
and-
follow their stuff too.
yeah,
We watch and we
Mario's
love.
Gaming World.
Yeah,
stuff
we
like
love
that.
watching those guys. I love watching, especially when there's a deck I'm interested in.
And
Like watching 3 different deck lists to see what they do different, and then how I'd want to do it.
yeah,
To get ideas.
yeah. And so I basically put all of that together, and I'm a very competitive person.
Mhm.
When I get into something, I go deep into it.
Yeah, because what's
And
the
so
point of
it's
getting
like-
into it if you're not going to do it?
Right. And
Amazing,
so it was
right?
like I was like, okay, store championships just ended. When are the next one? And they're like, next
Gotcha,
year.
gotcha.
And I was like, okay, what's the big tournaments? And they're like, they're all online. And so I was like, okay, let me enter these online tournaments. And it was funny because I was like, we got to go to nationals. Me and my buddies, I was like, you got to enter these online tournaments.
Yeah.
And they just miss registration. Because
Oh.
it's at like 7 and it caps in 2 minutes.
Yeah,
And I
that's
was
what
like,
happens to me. I'll set alarms. I'll wake up early, got my coffee, I got 3 tabs open on a computer and 2 phones,
But
and I'm trying to get in myself, and I feel like I can't get in.
So,
So,
I registered for 2, the top cut, which we talked about, the regional.
Mhm,
That was the
mhm.
one I got 9th with Cross,
love it,
which
love
was
it.
cool. And then I entered their Ultimate Cup, and I
Okay.
went X2 with Bloom.
Oh, that's awesome. So you played
So-
the Bloom too, and you really represented that.
Yeah, and
You
that's
guys
the
haven't
Bloom list
seen
you
our-
see on the channel.
Thank you. Perfect. Yeah,
We-
yeah. We really want to give him credit
Yeah.
because you deserve it, man. We love having you in the group. It's just too much fun. But, so I no longer have thought of you. I haven't thought of you as a quote unquote newer player since you stopped. Not that you were bad with D Reaper. I thought you were great with that. But it's like I now think of you as like the top dog I gotta compete against. And I want to be in the top playing against you. So it's such an interesting transition, that quick growth there. But for those of you, or for those that are new to the game, or join the game, or you have a little brother, little sister, or wife, whatever, you're trying to get in the game, what advice would you give to them?
Well, it depends on what they want out of the game.
Okay.
Because it's like what I wanted out of the game was glory and
Yeah,
victory.
and to win.
So I was like,
yeah.
like anytime I was like, diehard fans will remember when we talked about Mox Valley Games and their White Omni.
That was such a fun event. Thank you for doing that, by the way, Monks, if you're watching.
Do another one.
Do another one. We definitely want to come down there
And
soon.
so I was talking with everyone. Was like, we got to go. And then I was like, oh, it's going to be in BT11 format, not in EX3. What's the best deck in BT11? Black War Greymon X Antibody. Played 1 million games of it on tabletop.
Yeah, you
with
were
my
grinding
friends,
the hell out
and
of
then
that.
I ended up getting second at that.
Yeah,
which
second.
Was,
How many
which
people
was
were
really
there?
cool. 40.
40,
or
dude.
something.
Like that was insane. It was awesome because I remember Jesse and I, we were promoting the crap out of it for weeks, and we went down there and we were having some fun and we had a blast. Super great event. Thank you again, Mox, for doing that. And we just remember being like, wait, Basil's on table 1 at the finals. Hey, let's go, and we're all rooting for you and cheering.
But so if you're someone who there's no reason to say, oh, if you play, you got to play the best deck and you got to try and win. Like friends of the channel will know my favorite deck to play, or not my favorite. One of my favorite decks to play is Ragnalordmon.
Yeah,
the Legend Arms Alliance, dude.
So you do have some fun decks.
Yeah, and it's like if you want to show up to locals and you want to play something goofy or something fun, that's perfect. But if you want to try super hard and you want to get into it, my best advice to someone who's trying to get really good really fast is throw away your ego. You do not have the ability to reinvent the wheel. You know what I mean?
I have that problem. I know exactly what you're talking about, my dude.
You're not going to find out this super secret thing that no one's thought of.
Yeah, like you're not going to find that one tech that nobody else thought of.
Oh,
yeah.
People aren't playing this card. And it's like, dude, they're not playing it because the card isn't very good.
No, I think that's a great point. I mean, we have an awesome resource with the whole of overseas meta where we can see what they're doing ahead of time. And then we have what cards we get, what promos we get, what restrictions we get, tons of people testing. Decks get posted everywhere. So you know what's happening. You have all this wealth of knowledge. And you're right. Reinventing the wheel, that is something that just doesn't work. I know when I first kind of started playing, especially at the very beginning, I would take this deck and I'd be like, well, I'm going to take this aggro deck and try to make it defensive. Or I'm going to take this defensive deck and let's make it more mid-range. And it would just hurt myself.
Yeah.
So you're right.
And just, like I said, there's nothing wrong with, I'm going to play, OTK Venusmon.
Yeah.
It's like, there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But if you're like, I don't know why I'm not topping regionals with,
that's a great point.
With all this. And it's like, well,
I mean, it's tough, right? It's tough. And I really like those types of players that really show up to locals with their A game. It's because it costs money. It costs money to play. If you're playing, you want to get cards back. Exactly. You want to win prizes so you can fund more events. So you can pay entry for Ultimate Cup. So you can pay entry for all of these tournaments. And I really do like people that do that. I think it's a really smart way to play. Those that are unlike me and don't give a crap about alternate arts and stuff like that. So that's awesome. But so I guess my next question for you is what are your thoughts, with these rules and restrictions for Ultimate Cup, for all these tournaments, like Chaos Deck being at 1, right, in purple decks or whatever? Is there anything that you just were like, I completely disagree with that? Or if you were just anything you're like, thank goodness that's a thing?
The Ultimate Cup was interesting because at the time that I did the Ultimate Cup, that was post the Beelzemon restriction.
Yeah.
So Impmon X... or not Impmon X, but the EX2 Impmon was already to 1.
Yep.
And then Hydramon to 1, and then Chaos Egg to 1. The Were Garurumon promo was already banned overall, or to 1. And then Death X banned.
Yeah.
I think that's it. I thought those rules were really smart. I think they could have taken off the Cerberusmon Werewolf mode restriction, because it wasn't the top purple deck anymore. But having a unique format is really cool, because
I'm a fan. I agree as well.
Because when I played at the regional, that was the no restrictions open BT 12 format.
Yeah.
My matchups, I played 8 rounds in one day.
Yeah. Man, you're getting all the questions on my script here, man. I'm loving it. Keep going.
My bad. My matchups were 5 Beelzemon players.
Yeah, so that's actually something I was gonna ask. How diverse were they? Right? That's how it feels when we're sitting here doing the podcast, and we love doing this podcast. We're not complaining. Yeah. But when we're talking about 3 Beelzemon decks, 3 Old Force decks, I mean, I guess Jesse loves Old Force. And rightfully so, right? You know, like we can talk about them, but when there's 1-2 card differences,
Yeah,
it's like,
and so that's what I
it's-
liked about the Ultimate Cup is people were playing. There was my matchups were Machine, the
Yeah.
Bloom Mirror, Ulforce. Someone was trying to play Melga, which I think was bold.
I don't disagree because Melga's still going to be
Mhm.
strong. It just doesn't have that
Yeah.
one card,
It was
right?
a yellow Venusmon deck.
Yeah, makes sense.
One red hybrid, and then my last match
Yeah.
might have been another Beelzemon, I think.
Yeah.
So it was 7 rounds.
You didn't
and
play against any jank?
I think that the Melga deck
You
was
think- you
kind of
think so?
janky.
You
It
think so?
didn't- It played Sag mode and the starter
That
deck.
sounds like something
the
I would
starter
build.
deck thing. I was
Yeah,
like,
because my first online tournaments, I played a bunch of jank. It was
And,
great. I loved every moment
the
of it,
guy
too.
had on behind his desk
Yeah.
a Gabumon plushie, and I was like, "Oh,
That's a
you were
true
gonna
fan.
you were gonna play this no matter
That's
what."
the guy who needs to be in Digimon more because he just loves the characters, loves the games.
Yeah.
No, that's awesome. So, like, out of all of those matchups, did you think you had like a worse matchup, or when you went into the tournament where you're like, man, if I see this matchup, it is 50-50, I'm going to have to grind, or it's even 40-60, whatever,
Yeah.
where you're just like, what do I do?
So in the Top Cut regional,
Yep.
the deck I was not worried about was Beelzemon
Got it.
because I was like, this is a coin flip.
Yeah.
I'm gonna Merva or you're going to BL's X, and
Yep,
whoever
yep.
does it first is gonna win.
Yep.
And that was I was like, okay, yeah, you know, what are you gonna do? It's a very good deck. The deck I was worried about in the cross when I was playing cross at the regionals
Yeah.
was Red Hybrid.
Oh, man, me too. I don't blame you.
I
Yeah.
was like, okay, double Atomic Inferno and swing.
Yeah.
It's gonna be 4 checks at 23,000, and I was like, okay, yeah.
That's
turn
how I
2,
feel,
I'm gonna play Taiki, I guess. I was really, really worried about that. I
Yeah,
went.
that makes sense.
The only time I played Red Hybrid at the regional, it was on stream. Shoutouts to Eggman for streaming that
Yeah,
event.
we love your channel too,
It's
man.
it's on his VOD channel. It's me versus him. And
Oh, he was
it's
actually
ju-
the one playing it too?
No. It was me versus the
Oh,
Red
oh,
Hybrid
sorry,
player. He was
sorry.
streaming.
Gotcha.
And it was I won 2-0. Luckily, it was.
That wasn't lucky. It was
it's
all that
just like-
skill, all the grinding
It is
you do.
skill. Yes, true. It was just we were both just swinging. Neither of
Yeah.
us controlling the board. Neither of
going
us
for
doing
it.
anything. And I was just like, it's faster than I am. And like, if I can set up like a cross 5 blocker
Yeah.
or a Merva blocker, but he's just gonna swing a million times.
Exactly. And, you know, there's even cards now I've seen where they make them unblockable too. It's just like,
Yeah.
it's ridiculous. Or it's like if you do block, they gain 3 memory from the Aldamon or whatever. The Red Hybrid stuff is tough, man. It's
Yeah.
crazy how strong that became.
Yeah, Red Hybrid was super nerfed in the Ultimate Cup format because they don't get Blitz Omni
Yeah.
and they don't get Pokemon.
Yeah. So with all this online play, did you just like ever feel once that you saw anybody doing any questionable moves, any cheating? Like in my experience, you know, I want to preface this. I haven't had any bad experience with anybody cheating, but I love seeing the videos when people get caught. You know what I'm saying? It was that I always joke about that one guy pulling a Transcendent Sword or the guy playing a 5th mat back in the Gabumon
Playing
days.
Transcendent Sword, he just grabs it from trash.
And he didn't even win when he played the Transcendent Sword. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean,
No, I
you
didn't.
notice
I
something
didn't
like
have any
that?
negative experiences. It was. I mean, I was talking with people, and they're like, you know, dude, you're gonna have to be watching your opponent like a hawk. the
that's what I hear
entire
too.
time.
And that's what I
And I was
tell
like-
people that.
I was like, you know, yeah, maybe. I don't know. So I
Yeah.
tried it out, and I was just like, watching, and I'm just like, we're just playing Digimon, but we're not in the same room.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
I was really grateful for that. There was only shout outs to Chungman.
Oh,
He's
okay. Hopefully you're
he's-
watching
He's
this.
the previous year's nationals champion, the
Okay.
online.
Okay.
He was playing Bloomlord. He ended up getting second at the regional with Bloomlord, which
Oh.
I was super impressed with.
Yeah.
Because I didn't think it could compete with Red Hybrids or Beelzemon well enough. We played in round 7.
Okay.
We were both X0. And so it was like, okay, winner
on.
winner
It's
is
on.
in the like championship round.
Yeah.
And he beat me 2-0.
Oof.
HPD both games.
That's a one of. That's
and I
crazy.
was like, That's crazy. I would never accuse someone of cheating
No.
because I have no basis to do that.
Yeah.
But
I mean, like you are watching their screen, and you kind of,
yeah, no, he
you
just,
know, if you're
when
playing,
when you're hot, you're hot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
yeah, and you're,
And so
yeah, and when you play in an online event, you kind of learn little tricks.
I,
like,
I talked to my round 8 about it, and I was like, he's like, how was your last round? We were cheering for you because if you win, if you win, the tournament is over.
Oh, really?
They didn't want to play round 8.
Wow.
Or something like that. And I was like, no, man, you know, HBD both games. What are you gonna do?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
he's like, oh yeah, well that guy, you know who that guy is, and I didn't know who he was. And he's like, oh yeah, he won Nats last year, and I was like, no, okay, go figure.
That's awesome. Well, I mean, like, you know, when you play against online, right, you kind of learn, not when you're playing casually or when you're playing on TTS, but when you're actually in one of those tournaments, you kind of learn to like watch your opponent's hands, like kind of make sure they're not leaving the table and coming back with extra cards. I've never had it happen to me. I'm not accusing anybody, but it's just one of those like things that you do to kind of defend against, right?
Yeah.
But that leads me to my next question, man. Especially with them rooting for you, that they wanted it to be over. Do you think it was too long? Do you think it was too many rounds?
Oh, brother.
Brother.
8 rounds in one tournament.
Yeah.
So
You get your
it's-
money's worth
it
for
was
sure
on
out
a-
of playing Digimon.
Yeah, if you want to play Digimon, enter an online tournament.
Yes.
It was crazy. It was 8 rounds. It was on, I don't know if it was on Midwest time or on East Coast time.
I think they're
So
usually on East Coast. Well, it
we-
depends on
we-
the person
Yeah,
running.
it was top cut. So we started at 8.
Got it.
My last round finished at 5:30.
Yeah, and you don't really have time to eat unless you finish.
Yeah, you're
early.
You're at home, and I was some of the players were like, yeah, I play aggro so that my rounds are 20 minutes and I can
you
like
take a
go,
break.
Yeah, go lay down and stop because it is
Yeah.
surprisingly taxing.
Yeah, and
Like
yeah,
by the
when
end of
you're-
it, I was just like, I was a mess. It was a warm day, so I was
stop
sweaty. My hands hurt. My eyes hurt. I
Yeah,
was
and
just, like,
especially if you're
exhausted.
playing long-winded security control defensive
Yeah,
decks where
yeah.
you have to think constantly, and if you make one wrong move, defending something,
Yeah.
countering something,
My-
using a kill spell, your whole night's done, right? So playing aggro makes sense in that type of environment.
My last round at the regional was playing Examon,
Oh.
and he's just like,
Did he just give up? He's like, I'm tired. I don't want to
he's
do this
just
anymore.
like, I saw the baby Domon, and I was like, dude, you've been playing Examon all day. You've been
Yeah.
thinking about suspend and unsuspend and block and,
And
forces to
evade.
attack, and
yeah.
it's so many
That's
inheritables
brutal.
and
That's
triggers.
brutal.
I was like, dude, you have had a day.
Well, what makes that deck worse to play an event like that is that there's erratas. So not only do
Yeah.
you have to know
You have
exactly
to
what your deck
remember
does,
everything, too.
your opponents have to remember exactly what the errata is because you can't just read the card anymore.
Yeah, and so I literally asked him. I was like, so, it's my main phase.
Yeah.
When I promote, what happens?
I mean, that's fair. That's
Like,
fair.
Do I have to swing twice? Do I have
Yeah,
to swing
yeah.
once? Like, do you have a blocker? I was just like, and then I eventually was like, okay, it's Examon. It's not
Yeah.
gonna kill me too fast, and I just set up and was able to
Yeah.
win.
Examon's a cool archetype, man. It's really fun. So with the online experience, do you think that Bandai or whoever's in charge of, you know, Cardass, whatever, needs to set up in-person regionals, in-person Ultimate Cups? Like, I know Pokemon, I know it's heaven forbid I talk about that in this channel, but, you know, like my neighbor and his friend, they go, well, my brother too, they all go play in events in Seattle. We don't have a, like, in-person, we have a whole Portland Convention Center. Bandai, you're obviously listening, set that
Yeah,
up.
you're fans
Up
of
in
the channel,
Seattle,
you
you're
know.
fans of the channel, like, comment, subscribe, hit the like notification. Anyways, right? Do you think that's the future, or do you think they're gonna keep doing online?
Well-
Right? I mean, I know like financially why they do the online because they make more money. It's less expenses, less overhead. But I feel like they can get more people and a better experience, kind of like they did at their convention center for nationals in Los Angeles, right?
Well, one of my friends is like, "Oh, we're gonna go to this regional in the fall. It's Gen Con." And I was like, "Oh, Gen Con, where's that at?" And they're like,
Yeah.
"Indianapolis."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Okay. What about MomoCon?" "Okay, Georgia, Atlanta, Georgia." "Okay.
Yeah,
What
yeah, yeah.
about such and such, Philadelphia?" "What about this, Washington D.C.?" And it's like, I live in Oregon.
Yeah, it's
can
like,
we
what
get-
am I doing?
Like, even if it's
And
Seattle,
it's not even like we live in like, you know, Southern Oregon where it's Farmville. You know, nothing wrong with out there. It's beautiful out there. I've been there plenty of times. But we're in Portland. We're close enough to
I'll
Portland to
drive-
have events.
I'll drive 3 hours to Seattle.
Yeah.
I'll fly, to San Francisco or
Yeah, that's
whatever.
a 2-hour flight. That's
I was
reasonable.
like, just not
Something on the
not
West Coast.
not the East Coast or
Yeah, yeah,
South,
yeah.
man. Like, get us closer.
Get us,
You'll-
yes.
How many people went to nationals?
They-
1,000.
They filled the entire place and they
1,500?
couldn't even handle
Like,
as many.
You'll reach your cap. Make it $80. Like,
Yeah.
we'll go, man. Just
You know,
give us
like
something to
make
enter.
it. Yeah, exactly.
Give us 3 event packs and a
Yeah.
stamped Guillemon, and we'll go, man. We'll
Hey
go.
man, I travel enough for work. I got enough mileage points. If they ever do something in San Francisco, I'll get your ticket. We can go.
We're there.
We're there. We'll go. We'll go together and we'll represent, man. So I mean, do you think you're gonna like? How many more tournaments do you want to play in this year? Like, what are your plan for
So
the competitive Basil this year?
So, I signed up for the regional and ended up top 16 qualified for nationals.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I'm into nationals.
That's awesome, by the way.
And then
Can't wait to get that deck profile, the interview, following that, all the good stuff.
yeah, and I was like, okay, I'm already entered in the Ultimate Cup. I might as well do that.
Yep.
And I got my final placing was 44th, bad tiebreakers.
That's rough.
But
especially
that-
with so many-
But I signed up for 2 more Ultimate Cups. Those are in August, I
Oh,
think.
can't wait to hear the results on that. Okay.
One for Top Cut, one for I think Carta Magica.
I've done. Yeah, I've done.
So
a
I'm
Carta
doing
event
2
for
more of
sure.
those. We're just waiting on. There was a delay with store championships with some of our shops. They missed products to do all those, but
I think a lot of store championship has been iffy, right? Because of the fact that it's no longer guaranteed invites.
yeah, it's not. It's more about like gold sistermons and
Yeah.
and stuff like and chaos eggs and megadeths and stuff like that. But it's not for me. It's not even like I don't need stakes for a tournament to like matter.
Yeah,
I
you
just
just
need
wanna
it.
get in
I
that
just need
event.
it for be like everyone is on their A game, on their best deck.
I agree
and
with
they're
that, yeah.
trying hard.
Yeah.
If it's in that environment, I'm there.
You're
like,
excited, you're
give
motivated by
give
that.
me a hot dog and $5 as prizing, and I'll be there.
Yeah.
And obviously, with those Ultimate Cups,
yeah.
Paladin mode or
Yeah.
Crimson mode,
Yeah.
I'll take those too.
Yeah, of course, that'd be nice, right? No, that makes a lot of sense, man. I mean, what do you think of the current set? What do you think of EX4? And not only that, what do you think of BT13 coming up next?
EX4 is
Yeah.
fine.
Yeah.
EX4 is okay. There's Blue Flare for you people. There's plugins, Kuyamon for people who like that. Ravemon, all the decks you're seeing, they're very cool and they're very awesome. They're not for me.
Yeah.
I'm not crazy about them. But BT13, ooh.
Tell us all about it. We cannot
Ooh.
wait.
Rosemon Burst Mode,
Yes.
I'm looking forward to.
You know we're gonna have to get
huge.
your channel on.
Belphemon Sleep Mode and Rage Mode, I think, is super cool. The Royal Knights thing is like maniac
Yeah.
deck. Like,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
ridiculous.
So have you been looking at like the Royal Knights list? Do you have like a direction you want to take that?
I have zero idea how to build those decks.
I think you're about the rest of us
But
right
I
now,
think
too.
there's.
Okay.
I think the archetypes are so cool,
Yeah.
and I'm so excited for those.
So I got a bunch of crap for our last video because I hate Jessmon and everyone knows it, which is awesome that people remember that. Because I listed off Royal Knights and I didn't even mean to forget Jessmon or Alphamon, but so it's hilarious. But
Alphamon too.
yeah, I
Like,
just
not
somebody
even
commented
just
on that.
a Royal Knights deck,
Yeah.
but straight up Alphamon. It gets a new level 5 that
Yeah.
isn't Grademon.
Yeah, it's coming like because they kind of like giving them the one that you restricted. Now it's coming back.
Give it
but
another one.
my question is, do you have a favorite Royal Knight out of all of them? Like, is there one that you're like, not by card effect or anything, just by he looks cool?
Well,
they look cool, whatever.
I'm a green loyalist.
Yeah.
My favorite color. Bloom Lord's my favorite deck.
Okay.
I took this time. Examon from EX3 is on low, so I
Yeah.
picked up a playset of that. So
Ah,
I know the new Examon can Jogress with
Yep.
2 level 6s, but I don't know if you will play it in that deck.
got it. Yep,
but
yep.
it'd be Examon because
Guys, Examon's your
green-
favorite Royal
green-
Knights, huh?
green is right here.
I
He's,
like it. What about Leopardmon? Leopardmon's gonna be
Oh
green
yeah,
in BT13.
Leopardmon. Leopardmon is on the front of everyone's mind.
I
They're all
honestly,
excited
we're
for
joking
that.
about this, but I think Leopardmon's the deck that I'm most excited to build in BT13. Besides updating my stuff, and the
Sure.
reason why is because I just love his design. His
Yeah.
design is so cool to me. That's just a dumb little thing about me, but we can stop talking about Leopardmon now. So you mentioned green as being your favorite color. Like, what draws you into green? What makes you like green? Do you have, a second favorite color that you would love to see mixed with it, or what?
Well, and this comes back from the Hearthstone days. Is I was kind of always like, aside from being like playing whatever's meta and whatever's strong,
Yeah.
is I really like the combo style. So I don't know if anyone was playing Hearthstone in 2014, but
You have your username you can drop for everybody
is
too?
Basil Hall.
I'm just kidding. I'm just
Whatever.
kidding.
Find me on Twitter. I don't know. But it was called Oil Rogue or Miracle Rogue, and it basically had the same thing. It was a bunch of setup and then a huge pop off turn. So you had like you had a thing that made your spells cost 0, and then
Reducing the cost, like
and you would do like
Digisorption
15 damage in one turn. I forget the combo exactly. It was a long time
Gotcha.
ago. But so the idea of Bloomlord was super enticing to me,
Yeah.
because they're like, okay, Digizorb for free, effect of the Sunflow, play something for free, and all of a sudden I have these 6 Digimon,
Yeah.
and my Bloomlord is swinging for 18k 4 checks.
Yep.
And I was like, that is so sick.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because I was like, oh, I love these combo decks. Why don't I just play purple?
Yeah.
And so I was like,
yeah.
why don't I just play? I put together Minervamon.
Yeah.
And there is something that boils deep inside me.
I'm telling you,
when I
man.
swing 4K, Eismon, Scatter Mode, Gabumon, Demi Meramon,
And you-
inherited the perfect
yep.
stack, and it's Megadeth, and it's a rookie, and it's
And it doesn't
and it's
die.
an option, and it's just like, okay,
Oh,
I'm
you
just
tricked
sitting
me.
there with nothing.
What's
I
that
could have
meme you,
plus 9 card advantage, but
That meme where it's like they had us in the first half. I'm not gonna lie, because you totally misled me with where you were going with that. Because I think purple's. I mean, for those of you know,
Yeah.
purple's my favorite color to play.
Yeah.
Because I love the combo, I love the draw, I love all that cool stuff, and
And-
that's where I thought you were going.
well,
you
and that,
totally
that's,
got me.
that's why I'm so excited for BT13.
Yeah.
Because part of the Belphemon package is it's like they're called like ATX something.
like Giza, Giza,
yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I know. What you're
And
talking
you
about.
can use that to delete your stack.
So
and
interesting.
And so it's good. It's like on play if you delete a level 4, reduce the play cost by 9 or
Yeah.
something like that.
Okay.
And so
Okay.
that I think that's something I'm going to be really interested in messing around with too. Is making the inconsistency
Yeah.
of purple is swinging into security with a 4K and hoping it dies. And I think the consistency buff of having the tools to delete that
Yeah.
while
Well, I
still
think-
maintaining a board presence.
I think if you build your purple deck, literally you lose if your Eismon doesn't die. You built it wrong. Personally.
yeah, and that
And being a purple player fan and being used to having to make the best move at that moment, guys, you don't understand how loyal I was to BT5 Tactimon. That was my main deck in BT5. I love that card. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I get what you're saying. Yes, you need that to make your plays, draw your cards, etc. But
yeah.
I mean, do you have a least favorite color that you not playing against that you don't like, a color that just doesn't resonate when you play it? I mean,
It's funnily enough, it's red.
yeah. Okay.
Okay. I don't like my favorite parts about red.
Yeah.
Is the black half of Blackboard Greymon and
I gotcha.
Gaiomon.
Yeah.
It's reboot blocker. I'm really attracted to. Digivolve I think is
Gotcha.
super strong.
Not a red fan.
And the red thing is like, you go into your thing and then you swing with it.
Yeah, you don't want to just create a big monster and swing
And it's like-
just be cool.
It's just like, well,
Yeah.
I'm gonna like red hybrid. It's like I'm gonna play my things and then they're going to attack, and it's like there's no dynamic element to it, which I think a lot of the other decks that I like are a little bit more.
They have that.
Like
I got you. That makes
Machine
sense.
Dramon, you kind of have to decide when to give your opponent a bunch of memory.
Yep.
The green, it's sort of how you have to plan out your combo and when you can and when you
'cause
can't.
I think I know what you're saying. Where red feels like it doesn't reward skillful players, right? Because they just have a linear path and they're just being aggressive and swinging. And I personally, I like red. I like red. This is true but it's not always what I like to play. But it feels that way where you're not rewarded for making the right play.
Yeah. And
Right.
My opinion of this game, the more I play it, is the skill expression in this game is a lot less at the table and more in deck building.
I agree with that. That's
And
a
I
great way to
think-
put it. Yeah.
I think, like,
I didn't even. Yeah, that's
I think
awesome.
the
way to put it.
interesting thing about it is like, well, yeah, you once you sit down, you make the right decisions, but if you haven't made the right decisions putting your cards together,
Yeah. What tools did you bring with you?
You've sort of lost already.
That makes a lot of sense. That's a
so-
great way to put it, man. That's awesome. Well, okay. I mean, so we're talking about the future of the game. Is there any archetypes or tribes or random jank that you've been building that you're like, I cannot wait till I get more support, because this is your time to tell Bandai that you want in the future.
Yeah, I do. I have. Well, they've already announced it. I don't know when we're getting it.
Okay.
But it's Promo Zubamon. It's
Promo
the
Legend Arms.
Legend Arms rookie. The
Got
red
it,
rookie.
got it.
The weapon. It's I can recite this card from memory. I'm so excited for it. It's on play. You can tuck it under one of your Legend Arms Digimon, and then you reveal the top 3, rearrange them, and then gain 1 memory.
That's so sick. The Legend Arm stuff is
just
so
like-
much fun, man.
It's like my favorite thing about that
Yeah.
is the starter deck rookies
yeah.
that you reveal it, play it, tuck it under your thing, reveal it, and then just keep playing stuff. It's so sick.
To me, that's the most
So-
disappointing part about playing Digimon Cyber Sleuth in
Mhm.
both of them, is that you get the whole Durandamon line, but
Yeah.
you don't get Ragna or the Briary Ludramon
Yeah.
line. Because I
Well-
love Legend Arms too. I know what you're talking about. Yeah, yeah.
So they've already printed that, and
Okay.
it's coming in 2027. Who
Yeah.
knows? What we need is, we have the Legend Arms Alliance option.
Yeah.
The I think it's called that.
It's
right?
Legend
The
Arms Alliance, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I think you're right.
And what we need is Legend Arms Boost or something. I don't know
Okay,
how they do
okay.
it, because the problem with that deck is that you're always short on memory.
It does
'Cause you-
feel that way,
There's
right?
there's no tamer that you can play.
Yep,
None
yep,
of them
yep.
make sense. Like you see people playing like Izzy, reveal the 3, and if it's black,
Yeah.
whatever. And it's like that. You're a lot of your Digimon are red, so you're not gonna hit that. And then you like black memory boost. It's
Yeah.
like
Like, we still don't have
You
a
just-
red-black dual tamer at this point.
I know.
You know,
And
that
so
would be a good
that's
opportunity.
That's what we need is like, I don't even know, weapon memory boost or armor memory boost
something,
or something.
something, huh?
Something Legend Arms Alliance and something, or like, I don't know how they do a tamer or something.
Yeah.
More Ragnalord
Just take it
support.
over the top
Pure
like that.
Ragnalord.
Have you seen any of the new EX4 Omnimon with the Crestgrumon, Blitzgrumon decks? But instead of playing the Omni package, they play Ragna.
Yeah, they play Ragna.
You know?
Yeah, and I think that's fine and good too. But
That's not what you want.
what I want is a pure tribal
Thank you.
Legend Arms
yep.
Alliance, because when we put that deck together, and it's literally 46 Digimon,
Yeah.
46 Legend Arms Digimon, and then the 4 options. And
Yeah.
I think there's something so satisfying about that. And it's
Yes.
like, I don't want to play Black War Greymon in the list.
Yep,
I don't want to
yep.
play Kreskarurumon.
Or the Bihumon
Or
that people were
Bihumon.
playing.
I want
Yep.
to play Durandamon and Briarway Ludramon.
That's how I am too, man.
The
I
Holy
totally get it.
Sword
Yep.
and the Corrupt Shield.
And
And I
just
want to create,
bang.
and I want to Ignition Prominence.
Yeah, yeah.
Boom!
That's
That's what I want.
I want that in a game too. I need a
Yeah,
new game,
true.
an RPG style, where I get to play as Ragna, Briarwe, all that,
So
because
sick.
Duranda's cool. Don't get me wrong, but he's too edgy like Jessmon, just because I had to throw some Jessmon shade out there. But he is. I love him. Don't get me wrong, but I think he's so much cooler as the sword than he is solo. Okay, well, I'm gonna ask you one last question. So after all of this Digimon experience, after all of seeing these things and looking at these awesome artworks, who's your favorite Digimon? Or do you want to give us the top 3? Because I know it's hard to pick one. Because I know I am putting you on the spot.
Yeah, let me. You want just Digimon or cards?
Digimon. I'm
Digimon.
literally talking like as a franchise, nothing to do with the cards. Let's just go. Who's your favorite looking? Your homie? Who would be your partner if you were Digidestined?
The answer to this is so lame.
That's okay.
because
That's all
it's
for man.
literally Bloomlordmon.
That's awesome. What do you mean that's
Bloom-
lame?
Well, 'cause
That's
it's just the decks
perfectly
that I
represents
play.
you.
It's Bloomlordmon.
Yeah.
It's Machinedramon. And for the third one is interesting.
Nothing wrong
because
with it.
I'm not like I like Gaiomon. He's like the samurai thing. It's
I
cool.
do too, man. I do too.
But the honest answer is probably just Palmon from Green.
No, that's perfect, man.
I love
because
Palmon.
you gotta have your level 3, your rookie that you're like when you're just like strolling
Just
through
a
the
little
digital
plant
world before
walking
you,
around.
and then he turns into Bloomlord to save the digital world. That makes so much sense. That's perfect, man. That's awesome.
But if we're talking favorite art, my favorite art in the entire game
Yeah.
is Yellow Memory Boost, the promo.
with the little pancakes.
with the pancakes.
That's a yeah.
I love those.
That's a good one.
That card is so good.
I like those cards. I like the memory boost.
The memory boost.
I'm
They're all having a snack.
I think
That's
it's
so
great,
nice.
and I like the idea of it, but this sucks because the texture was so good on the original arts, and I got
Yeah.
spoiled, and then I don't have that same level of texture, which is why I'm a fan of the ones coming from the reprint set or whatever the situation with that is. I'm not going to pretend to know that. That's Jesse's job at the studio to let me know that I'm
true.
wrong about that. But, well, guys, I really appreciate you letting me, interview Basil here. We're glad to have him on the channel. Thank you guys so much for watching, and jump in the comments. Wish him luck over at Nationals. Feel free to reach out, comment below if you have more questions for Basil. I'm sure he'll screen the comments and give us a bunch of feedback and all that stuff. So, as always, like, comment, subscribe. Let us know if you want us to do more of these interviews. Thank you.